Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Okay, so welcome to something that I have not done in a very long time, which is fighting game arcade mode playthroughs. We are playing Tatsunoko versus Capcom, which came out for the Wii. I forget, maybe 2010. This is, I feel like it gets overlooked a lot, but this game is pretty great. So yeah, we're going to be doing arcade mode. And if you know anything about this game, you know exactly the first character I'm playing through this as, or if you can read the title. We gotta go with Frank West. And the second character isn't as important to me, so I'm going to do like a safety character, Chun-Li. Just a character that I'm not going to do a full playthrough of, but one that, you know, it'll be cool to see. So like most of the Capcom fighting games, the reason that I like this is because it's got a good variety of Capcom characters in it. Obviously, if you throw Frank West or Beautiful Joe in a game, I'm gonna buy it, basically. So this, I think, was the first of these this was definitely the first of these games that Frank was in, and basically he plays, if you've played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, he should look at least fairly familiar. He plays a little differently, but he still has the basics here. What I really appreciate about Frank in this game is how he feels like, you know, the people who made this knew how he should be. Like, a lot of his moves are from Dead Rising, like you can see. A lot of his moves are his skill moves. Like that kick you can do in the game, his grab move is something you can do in the game. He has the knee drop, which is cool. All of his like ultimate moves are references to the games. It's really good stuff. He borrows a move from Jill from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is that he makes a zombie come out. Frank is the character that I've played as the most in this game. Even though he's not the type of character that I usually like playing as, in these types of games, I much prefer playing as like faster characters. Also, Frank just invented the selfie right there. That was the first recorded selfie in history. But yeah, I much prefer probably the next video when we play as Beautiful Joe. That's more or less the kind of character that I really like playing as in fighting games, which is fast characters that maybe don't do a ton of damage, but you can get a lot of attacks out. I was originally going to do Frank and Mega Man Volnut just because both of their games, Dead Rising and the Mega Man Legends games, were directed by the same guy, but I do not like Volnut in this game. Although I do think it's cool that instead of using like regular Mega Man or Mega Man X, they chose Volnut, which is, you know, not a character that you see very often. Also, before I played this, I hadn't played this game in like a really long time. I hadn't played this probably since I started watching like One Piece, and as soon as I started playing this, I realized, oh god, Volnut is voiced by Luffy. Like, as soon as he makes any noise, I'm like, oh, that's Luffy's voice actress. And it is. Now, if you didn't watch my update video, the computer that I've been using is completely kaput, so I'm using a different older computer to record this, so sometimes you're going to get some weird little issues with the frame, not the frames, but just the game or the video kind of skipping. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. So just want to throw that out there. You know, I love that Frank's ultimate is the real Mega Buster. He puts on the Mega Man X outfit. Also, Frank is not available right from the get-go, so you can't just boot this game up and play as Frank right off the bat. You have to play through the game and beat it, I think, with 3 or 4 different Mega Man characters, Capcom characters, before you can actually unlock Frank. Love that. I love that the knee drop is in there. Just makes me feel good. Obviously, Frank is not voiced by Chiji Rotolo in this game. I used to think that was like a big problem. I don't really mind it anymore. I think it's just because all of the voices in this game were done in Japan. I don't think there were any English-speaking characters other than Frank in this game, and it was most likely just some guy that worked at like Capcom Japan that spoke English. I guarantee it. Or they just hired some random guy. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Obviously, I would rather it be TJ Rotolo, but I really don't care all that much. Frank, his in-game model does look a little weird just in the face, but it's fine. I like Frank in this game. Yeah, I think I was starting to say this in the beginning and then just didn't finish my train of thought. But like most of these Capcom fighting games, I don't buy them for like, oh, dude, this is Tatsunoko versus Capcom? Hell yeah. You know, same with Marvel vs. Capcom. I couldn't care less about the Marvel or the Tatsunoko side. I'm just here for the Capcom characters, which is why I would really appreciate it if they would just make a fighting game called like Capcom All-Stars or something like that. They have the best roster of characters in any video game company, and I would love it if they just made like a celebration of that. But you know, we still gotta stick with the Marvel versus and the other things. I still don't even know what Tatsunoko is. I didn't buy this when this came out, even though Frank and Beautiful Joe were in it, which I remember being very excited for. But I was just like, I don't know what Tatsunoko is. I have no idea. I still don't know. I think it's an anime company. They make like Gatchaman, I think. I think they helped produce Evangelion. I think. So if there were Evangelion characters in there, that would be pretty rad, but that is not the case, unfortunately. Also, I am playing this on the Wii U, since, I transmitted all of my data from the Wii to the Wii U once that came out, which means I can't use a GameCube controller on this. I could use a Retro controller, I think, but I never had one of those, so it's fine. But the Wii remote is not good for playing fighting games. At least not 3D fighting. I would just say no fighting games. There's an option to do it with the nunchuck, but that's even worse, I think. We'll get into some of the control issues like later on, but the thing that it really does is it really hurts my thumb after a while with the D-pad. This is one of my favorite things. There are two characters in this game. This dude and one of the mech suits from Lost Planet are big characters, so that instead of picking two players, you only are one. But I love that Frank can still use grab attacks. I really didn't think you'd be able to, so when I did that, I was like, oh my god. Incredible. So once I did that, I was like, there's a grab move that I can do for one of the supers. I have to try that. And I do try it. At least I think I tried it. But this reminds me of the part in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite where Tony Stark's like, yeah, I do it. Where Tony Stark's like, okay, Frank, fight Thanos. And Frank's like, are you kidding me? He's gonna kill me! Which, say what you want about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, it gave us some of the all-time best Frank moments, especially at a time where Frank specifically was kind of at his lowest moment with Dead Rising 4. Yeah, I love that Frank West just beats up this giant golem thing. Also, this game has like 10 stars of difficulty. I'm on, I think, 5 stars here. 5 or 4, I don't remember. I think 5. Any higher than that, and it's a butt whooping, basically. This is just one of those things where I'm looking at this screen right now, and I see that Waluigi-looking guy, and my eyes are just glazing over. I have no idea who any of these people are. All the Tatsunoko characters look exactly the same. One of the things that I really appreciate the most about this game is that they didn't just do, like, all the other Capcom vs. games up until this point, which is just, here's a bunch of Street Fighter characters. Here's Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, M. Bison, Akuma, just, all the Street Fighter characters. And so they're like, yeah, let's get Dead Rising in there, Onimusha, fucking Lost Planet. which I don't think has had a game since this came out. There's an Okami rep in here. You got Beautiful Joe, my dude. It's got a good roster. I am surprised, though, that there's no Dante in this game. I feel like that's a no-brainer. Yeah, I think that this game has a lot of really good style to it, and I don't know why this game doesn't get brought up as much. I think, honestly, I bet it's because it's just... people hear Tatsunoko and they're like, what? I don't know what that is. It just doesn't have the same hype as, like, Marvel vs. Capcom. And I gotta say, the artwork in this game, I think, is some of my favorite. It's, I think, primarily done by a company named Udon, who have worked pretty closely with Capcom on, like, Street Fighter and stuff like that, doing, like, promotional stuff for a while now. And, like, the character profiles, the character ending artwork, the box art, it's so good. It's really genuinely, I think, the best. And they just put out 3 really big hardcover art books of, like, everything that Udon has worked on for Capcom, and I bought those, and I have been loving them. I love a good art book, you know, for references and just for like looking at them. And that's what really spurred me to go, oh, you know what? I haven't played this game in forever. Because I saw because they have a couple pages just put aside for, like, the character endings of this game, and just reminded me how much I loved this game. So this is, I already uploaded a little clip of this to YouTube just because I thought it was so hilarious. But Frank West fighting a little child will never get old to me. And any game where you play as a grown man and you could just absolutely toss up this child. More fighting games need to just put children in them. Like, the fact that Roll is a playable character is absolutely hilarious. Wait, did I mention there's also an Onimusha character in this game? Like, when's the last time you thought of Onimusha? Here we go. This is the best part. This is absolutely incredible. Just drag her into a group of zombies and then slam her into the ground. Again, another reference to the Dead Rising games. Not only does he get a Servbot mask, but he also does another skill move on her. Way to whiff it, Ken. You're not Ken, you're Ryu. Why did I say Ken? Yeah, Street Fighter is never one of those that I really particularly cared about, which is why I've never really played any of them on the channel. I've played Street Fighter 5 with Hank, but I really just don't... It's the same thing with Mortal Kombat. It just never really appealed to me. I'd much rather play... Like, in terms of Capcom fighting games, I'd rather play this. I'd rather play something like Darkstalkers or Rival Schools. Really anything else. I've always loved the characters in Street Fighter. I think Street Fighter has a great roster of characters, like, you know, any Capcom game. But for whatever reason, the games themselves just never really interested me, like, at all. Yeah, Chun-Li isn't great. I think she's a bit faster than Frank, but her moves all feel very repetitive to me. But again, having the ability to body slam a little child will always win points for me. She's not even on screen for most of this. She just disappeared. Like, look at that character artwork. It's so good. Udon is the best. Udon is not a person, by the way. It is a group. So there's multiple artists, but the specific artist that worked on this one is, like, unbelievable. And here we go. Here's the Dead Rising level of the game, which I think is really neat and, again, feels like the people who made this, you know, they really got it right. For a big Dead Rising fan like me, really makes me feel good. Because I can't think of another level in the game that does this, but this level you'll notice as we play it has a day-night cycle, and like it starts kind of at like sundown almost, and it'll progress to nighttime, and then like at dawn, and then daytime. I don't know what those blinking lights are though. Maybe it's the lights going out, but I don't know. The soundtrack in this game is also really very good. I cut out the opening, like, cinematic, just because I feel like it's going to get claimed, but also it would have made the video even longer than it is. But a lot of the songs in the game, and just the backgrounds of the stages themselves, really remind me of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like, instead of going for, like, Dead Rising music, all the music kind of sounds like mall music, you know, like elevator music, and I really quite enjoy that. And for a Wii game, I think this was like mid-life cycle Wii game. This looks still really good, I think. You know, some of the characters look a little weird, and some of the animations are strange when you're... Like, if you look in the beginning of the video, I think, you should see, like, when I pick Frank and Chun-Li, they have, like, weird jerky animations in the character select, but it's not really that big of it. It's not a deal breaker, obviously. But yeah, I really like this game, is what I'm saying. And yeah, I don't know why Capcom hasn't done that. I really don't understand why they haven't just been like, okay, we're gonna make a game that has Street Fighter characters, Darkstalkers characters, Resident Evil characters, some Beautiful Joe, some Dead Rising, some Monster Hunter, some, you know, they have so many franchises that they could pick from. Devil May Cry, you know, they could just keep going and just make a big fighting game or some sort of a Capcom crossover game. I don't understand why they've never done it. You could bring in other third-party characters, like you can finally have Bayonetta and Dante meet. Whoops, I really whiffed that one, didn't I? So in a bit, we're going to get into the real problems that I have with the controls. I'm going to just preface it right now by saying there's a partner swap mechanic. I haven't done it yet because I don't really care. I wanted to try and do as much of this with Frank as possible. On the Wii Remote, what you have to do is you have to hold back on the control stick. So if Frank is facing towards the right of the screen, you have to press back to the left. And then you have to shake the Wii Remote. Shaking the Wii Remote is the partner button, which should never be. You'll see me try and do it here, because my strategy for this final boss, which is completely asinine, Yami, which is from Okami, the best thing to do is to just spam your super moves. Frank's is particularly good because it's a beam attack. And then use Chun-Li to build up more super meter and just kind of tank some of the hits. But Yami is so frustrating. It just spams attacks. It barely gives you a time to react to anything. The hammer attack specifically is just super frustrating. This attack, it has like two versions of it. One of them where if you get too close to him, he'll just get rid of your super meter. It's really terrible. I really hate it. Like, I think that's going to happen here. Yeah, I just have no super meter now. Which was the whole point, was that I wanted to get enough damage on him so that I start the next round with as much as possible and just do as much damage to him as possible. Because there's 3 phases to this, I think, just like in Okami. I haven't played Okami in forever. I think they cut some forms out, but he's a multi-form boss. He's just a ball. He sucks. I hate him. But yeah, they don't refill your health each time. And you'll see me accidentally summon Chun-Li. Like, she'll do an assist move instead of coming in like that to switch characters. It's because I genuinely don't know how the partner switching works. The game doesn't explain it, and I cannot figure out how to do it. It doesn't happen reliably. I don't think I had this problem with the GameCube controller. I think this is just a problem with having to use the Wii Remote. So yeah, it's bad. They don't refill your health, and it's pretty annoying. that time I finally got it to happen where Chun-Li came out. Yeah, it's weird that they put this thing in here, not Amaterasu. But she would get her day in the sun pretty soon. Yeah, this is such a frustrating boss. I genuinely don't like it. There's some... I feel like most arcade mode final bosses are cheap just for the sake of being cheap. This one, I think, like, just personifies that. If I could just get rid of this from the game, I would much rather fight, like, M. Bison or, like, Jeddah or just some other weird Capcom character instead of just this. It stinks. It's way too spammy. But, we're approaching the end here. I thankfully got to finish it as Frank, which means we are now treated to his amazing ending, which has some great artwork and a great little homage to Dead Rising. Jeez. Also, I think this was still fairly early on with the Dead Rising series, so you don't get any, like, there's no memes here, like I've covered Wars, you know. I like Zero just hiding in the background there. I do like his... I think this artwork is better, and it's, I think, as a Dead Rising fan, better. But his Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 ending is great, where he has to fight the Marvel zombies. I think that's really cool. But this is great. As a Dead Rising fan, this is cool. Getting to see Brad and Jesse again. Go ahead, Frank. It'll look great on your mantle. This is unrealistic because Jesse hasn't called Frank ugly yet. But yeah, look at that. That's great. I love that. That's a great little ending for Frank. But that's not the end. Since we did have a little friend with us, it seemed fair that we also get to see Chun-Li's ending, which isn't as good, but I figured I'd put it in there. And this just makes me want... I know Udon has worked on Street Fighter comics in the past, but this just makes me want, again, just a Capcom crossover comic book. This would be great. But that's basically it for this video. I think I'll probably only do one or two more of these with other characters that I care about, like Beautiful Joe or Morrigan. So thank you for watching and bearing with this weird state of content that I'm in, and I'll see you next time.